Big Questions with the Dead Milkmen. Each week while working on the new album, the Dead Milkmen ask each other a question.
Now that we've played a couple shows after a 2.5-year break due to COVID, what is something, this is the question, what is something you missed about playing live, and what is something you didn't miss? Well, I'll start with what I did not miss. Crowd surfers. I actually forgot all about this phenomenon until we played in Wilmington and there was a crowd surfer heading my direction, a young woman. Fortunately, there was a barrier and she was kind of dropped into it and she was okay. But this tends to make me anxious. I totally didn't even think about it till it happened, but it makes me anxious. I think like, oh, people are going to get up on the stage and mess up Rodney's expensive keyboard gear when they try to jump back off, which has happened. And I was glad that there was a barrier. And in the 80s, when they first started putting those barriers up, I didn't like them, but now I start to see the point in them. And I wonder if people paying $25 a ticket really appreciate some crowd surfers' boot against their head sometimes, or their knees against their back, or whatever might happen. I don't really know because I'm not in the crowd when we play. I also wonder what it's like to be displaced by moshers. I've been in that situation. I don't really like it too much, but I guess I tolerate moshers more than crowd surfers. I noticed mosh pits at both of our shows. We played in Wilmington and in Harrisburg on Saturday, Wilmington Friday, and most of them look like they're in the 50s. It looks kind of funny and ridiculous in a way. They're not that aggressive as they used to be, and I get the feeling they're just doing it to relive old times. But I don't miss it. I don't miss the moshing or the crowd surfing. But that leads me to what I do miss, or did miss, and that's the crowds themselves. The crowd itself. I miss the energy that the crowd brings. I didn't feel that for 2.5 years. I do enjoy practicing with the band, but this is something a whole nother level, and I feel like it makes me play better. Somehow the energy makes me play better. It gives me confidence in a way. So that's what I miss the most, is the audience.
Mosher. Oh my nose! Oh my nose! Oh my nose!
And it came up. It was a crowd surfer.
Now we turn to Dan.
Yeah, I was busy back behind the drums, but I think I only remember that one woman crowd surfing. Were there a lot of them after that?
I saw a few, but not many of them made it up to the front.
Okay.
Just kind of circle around.
All right.
What I missed was all of it. Yeah, I don't know. I missed all the like waiting and wandering around and seeing other bands, seeing people you know in that town or that you've invited, or people just knowing who you are and saying hello, and then you start talking to them. And yeah, I can't even really be more specific. I just had such a blast, and I missed it. And what I did not miss, my kids.
Ouch! They don't watch this show, do they?
Like, they're older now, and like they, been around them a lot lately because they,
You actually get more sleep on tour, don't you?
Yeah. I had to sleep in till 9 o'clock, which was like late for me. But no, in all seriousness, what I did not miss was the readjustment feeling after playing shows, going back to like regular life stuff. Weird. get used to it. Because we're going to do a nationwide tour when we make this album, right? On the recording now.
There's how to start a rumor.
And big questions will be over.
Find a way to do it live on the road. If I have to, I'm not losing. This is my baby. I'm not losing my baby. Come on.
This is Sophie's choice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's see what I missed. I miss seeing friends in the crowd and in the bands. It was great hanging out with the opening bands and seeing, friends that we haven't seen in a long time. And then not just in bands, but in the crowd, people came to see us that we knew. Going to a show and seeing music with friends is a great thing. So I'm glad to be able to participate in that. And that was really cool and really fun. The thing that I did not miss, smoke machines. A smoke machine in Harrisburg on Saturday really messed with me. My nose was clogged and it smelled like the chemical that they use in that machine on Sunday. I washed my hair twice, blew my nose many times.
I didn't even notice that there was.
I couldn't get that smell out of my face for a while.
I think it was on your side, Joe. Wasn't it like behind the?
Yeah, it was right behind.
I didn't even notice that it was there.
So yeah, for some reason it really affected me. I guess. So I don't miss smoke machines. So
Joe's our designated fire marshal. If he didn't notice the smoke machine, we need to have a vote again on that.
I saw it at sound check. And
Dean's the fire marshal now. You're not going to take your way out of that. Jesus Christos.
We're allowed to say no smoke.
I know. A little smoke is fine. I know it's good for the lighting effects and stuff. They had some really cool like mechanical lights on the side of the stage, which I thought were pretty neat. But just that chemical that they use in the machine it's not something I miss. I'm done.
Then why are you drinking it now?
Frog juice.
Bottoms up.
I got a quarter smoke machine fluid. Whoa! Okay, so let's start with what I missed. Damn map.
Yeah.
If you're watching this, you know how some bands have a secret weapon, like one of the musicians is just super good at stuff and that elevates the band. We all suck, but we do have a secret weapon, and that our tour manager and sound guy, Dan Mapp, is absolutely amazing. And I've seen articles written that were supposed to be about bands, and they wound up being about Dan Mapp because he was doing the sound. He told me an incredible story about meeting Grace Jones, which was fantastic. He's been tour manager for just about. He keeps bringing up some guy named Paul McCartney who I've never heard of. And, I just want to hear about Grace Jones. I told him, I said, if I was in a room with Grace Jones, and some of you fellows will understand what I mean when I say this, I wouldn't have enough skin left to close my eyes like that. Yeah. I can't. My wife pretty much, says that if I ever, I would only be allowed to ever cheat with Grace Jones. She would kill me with anybody else. But I'm thinking, I bet Grace Jones would probably kill me in the sack. So, he's got all these great stories. He's very hardworking, very type A, which is fantastic, very funny. And it's great to drive along with him. Sometimes late at night, you just talk to him and, we're up talking in the front of the van back and forth. And the next thing you know, like a 3.5 hour ride passes like that. So I just love that. It's one of my favorite parts. I love that part at night too, when you're driving along through like central Pennsylvania and it's super dark. It's like you're in a spaceship. And then occasionally you'll see like the lights of houses off in the distance. You're like, who's up at this time of night? That would have been me when I was like a kid, like up late watching TV. Also, I enjoyed the hell out of the other musicians. And by that, I mean, we don't like to say opening band. These are not opening bands. These are bands we share a bill with. It's an opening band if it's a band that the promoter forces onto the bill. I was like, you're going to love these guys. So we are very particular about the bands that we have played with us. total rubbish were, because I didn't know anything about them before the show, and they were a very pleasant surprise. I thought they were very good, very talented. I still don't think there's a one of them over the age of 16. I thought they were super amazing, and I wanted to card them. No, we don't care about the COVID card. We just need to see if you can drink. Yeah, so they were really, really good. Of course, Stoneburner was amazing, and we're very lucky that we can have a band like Stoneburner on the bill. For a lot of the people in the audience, and this is mind-blowing, that was their first time ever seeing an industrial band. And I was out, and people had questions. They're like, well, there's two people up there drumming, and, is there something, one, like, on your side, and like, is this a thing that happens often? I'm like, yes, there are some other bands like this. And that was really great. And also, they had a very in-your-face show that was very anti-authoritarian, and I fucking loved it. I think that took a lot of balls, and it was great. And I got to sing a couple songs with them. There's footage out there somewhere I'm sure you can find, but that was really fucking enjoyable. And Hot Breakfast. Hot Breakfast joined us. So if you watch this show, Stephen Archer and Hot Breakfast, the two phrases you'll hear the most. And they were both involved in that show. So if you were there, it was like this show come to life. Matt and Jill from Hot Breakfast were fantastic. They played saxophone behind us on a cover of Germ-Free Adolescent, and then they came out and Matt played guitar and Jill sang on Prisoner Cinema, and we're just really lucky that in our extended musical family, or the DMCU, so I sometimes call it, that we have friends that are that talented. They were absolutely amazing. So hanging out with all the musicians was fantastic. And then the other thing I like when I get a good performance review. This is like when I'm at work and we get a thing from the big boss that says, you did really well. When I go out into the audience after the show and somebody comes up and says, I really enjoyed that show, then I know I've done my job. If you enjoyed yourself, then I enjoyed myself. No one will ever come up to me and say, I thought that was a great show. And I'll never say, oh, I didn't think it was that. No, I'm not going to negate your experience. If you had a great time, yes, it was a great show. I 100% agree with you. So, and the thing is, I just want you to understand, I think of playing live as a job. And that's a very, very good thing. That means I understand that you're paying me to come up and do the best I can. And I really like that. I don't want people to ever say, I paid to see the Dead Milkmen. I want you folks to say, I paid the Dead Milkmen to entertain me, and they did. I'm totally good with that. If that happens, then we're on the same wavelength. I like that. And people will tell me, if you didn't have a good time, I got a weird place in rock and roll where people just figure they can sound off and say anything to me, and I love it. I love the occasional drunk. We had somebody who came up and just like, you said on the show that you were going to have the pop filters and you didn't have them. And I love that. I love when somebody goes, like, if you paid to see the show, you've got a right to tell me whatever the hell you want. If you say,
attention.
What?
They were paying attention.
Yeah, they were paying attention. They were there, and they were, say, next time, if you paid to see the show and you say, next time, what you ought to do, I'm going to listen. I read every review of our live shows just so I can learn to do what I do better. And if you tell me, hey, here's what you should do next time if you paid. If you didn't pay for somebody backstage and I don't know who you are, then they're going to say, you know what you should do? I'm going to say, do you know what you should do? You should pay to get in the show, so you tell me what to do. But I generally, I will listen to you. And a lot of those people are my favorite people. And I'm lucky that people, that I'm not like a Bob Dylan where people wouldn't tell me that I suck. Bob, you suck. And so again, people pay to see Bob Dylan, and they don't pay to be entertained by him. So that's the thing. And I just, the thing about doing this is I take this job very seriously now. I took it for granted for a while. And then I couldn't do this for 16 years. And every day of those 16 years when we weren't playing, I said, if I ever get a second chance, here's what I'm going to do differently. And that's what I do now. And it makes me very, very happy to have a second chance and to be able to get out there and do this. If I'm performing a song that I've performed 10,000 times before, I'm totally fine with that, because there's somebody in the audience and that's their first time ever getting to hear it live. They thought they might never get to hear it live. I can spot that person, and that person makes me feel great. It is one of the things I love about playing live. I would never say, oh, I'm bored with playing this song, because I know there's somebody out there never heard it. They want to hear it, and if I can spot them and see their joy, I'm good. And people have no idea how happy that makes me. So that is absolutely wonderful. I just know that live, I have a distinction. Live, I'm a paid entertainer. But when I'm home on a Sunday writing songs and, like listening to new music to get ideas, or playing around with synthesizers to get new sounds, that's when I'm an artist. And I'm very lucky that I can have those two things. If you pay me, I work for you, and people, you are the best bosses in the world. So I will go the extra mile to give you a show. I love signing autographs. Signing autographs is the greatest thing ever. People come up and they want you to sign something. I got picked on in high school. I got picked on in junior high school. I got picked on in elementary school. I got picked on in nursery school. I was probably picked on in the incubator after I was born. Yeah. And people come up and they go, would you? Yes, of course I'll sign it. Will you take a picture with me? Of course I will. I joke around and go, no, because I'm an asshole. Boom. But, I realize got a second chance, and I am going to enjoy every second of that. And I think that perhaps the most enjoyable part of all this was it on the way from the show in Wilmington to the show out in Harrisburg, we got to see Dutch Wonderland. And really seeing a place like Dutch Wonderland, people go, oh, I've been to the Louvre, I've been to Moscow. Well, that would be Marjorie Taylor Greene, but no, just kidding. That's Crawford, Cawthorn. But the thing is that Dutch Wonderland. I forgot how happy Dutch Wonderland makes me. There's also a young lady named Abby, Valerie Abbey. She's in a band Abbey Death with her husband, and how she is from Lancaster is beyond me, but that's a whole nother story. But it's just like Dutch Wonderland. So yeah, that's pretty much my take on it. So yeah, that stuff makes me happy. Everything else is bullshit, but I really do enjoy the stuff I said.
All right, then recommendations it shall be. That's the next section of our program. I recommend, in case you're not familiar with how this format works.
I don't think you are.
I recommend that you vote in your state's primary elections, which may be coming up soon, depending on which state you are in. This year, there are 34 United States Senate seats up for election on November 8th. There are all 435 U.S. House seats are up for election. And additionally, some governorships are up for election, and other state and local government positions. Check your listings. I recommend you research your candidates and vote for the one you think will best serve your interests, and hopefully those candidates will make it onto the ballot in November. Because if you leave it up to your neighbors to vote, they might, and if you skip the primaries, they might, your best candidate might not make it. So we'll put links to ballotopedia.org pages that can help you find who the candidates are in your area and when your primaries are. That's it for me.
Cool. Thanks. I recommend that if anybody watching this, come see us play in New Jersey next month. What is it, the 13th and 14th?
13th and 14th.
I'm telling you.
Are they all ages shows?
What was the question?
Are they all
ages shows?
I'll have to look. I think at least one of them is.
That's another thing I meant to mention. I like that. I like when they're all ages shows, because then you see that there actually are like teenagers coming that are really excited. My sister brought her daughter, and my sister's friend brought her daughter, and that was cool. So I recommend coming to see us. I'll put links.
Don't tell people now. Matt Gaetz is going to turn up at the show.
That's perfect. He'll be trapped there.
He has to pay.
Oh, he already did through Venmo.
Oh, okay.
I'll put him on the guest list. Yeah.
Oh, I get it. It's the all ages thing.
Oh yeah.
Actually, it also, you know, I wasn't planning to recommend that, but I did anyway. I recommend what I had sent you guys earlier, that isolated bass line for, what is his name? John Taylor.
John Taylor.
Yeah.
Duran Duran song Rio. You know, it's funny because when I hear Duran Duran's music, it brings me back to being really young and hearing that music a lot. And when I was listening to the isolated bass line, I was like, I've heard this song millions of times, and I'm a bass player, and I never noticed this.
Did you watch the video I sent back at you?
I did, yeah. I started to, yeah. Then it got too much to be too much for me.
And don't forget, Classic Albums is available for free on Tubi, our friend forever, and you can watch the whole Duran Duran thing, because that's how they talk about. I think that bass line was kind of lifted from Bowie's Station to Station. But.
Yeah, so that's it.
I would like to recommend a YouTube video, and I know I have, and maybe Rodney's mentioned this YouTuber. He's an electronic musician. He's a scientist, and he's a former MMA fighter. His name is Ben Jordan. Very interesting character. I really like his videos. His channel is great. His recent video that I really got into was called How the World Sounds to Animals.
It's freaking amazing.
Yes, it's pretty amazing. He talks about how we perceive light and sound, and then he goes into the ways that different kinds of animals perceive light and sound. It's fascinating stuff. I think the video is only like 15 or 20 minutes long, but it could easily be like an hour-long documentary. It's really crazy. So yeah,
it's not only how they. Oh, sorry. So it's not only how they perceive sound and light stuff. Time is a big factor in how they perceive sound. So yeah. So yeah, I would highly recommend that video. That's my recommendation. Yeah, it's like your dog is on ludes all the time and your cat is on speed. I mean, it's if you want to get your, it's great because cats has time span is very shortened. It's shortened down, which you would think would be longer to allow them to do stuff, to catch prey and stuff, but no. So they perceive everything much faster. So they perceive everything at a higher pitch and happening much faster, which means that if I want to get my cat's attention, I go, yeah, kitty over here. So speaking, I talked earlier about music as a job. So this is for some of you musicians out there. And I don't know if anybody who didn't play a show this weekend watched this episode. I just thought of that. I don't know if they can relate to it, but this is the first thing. I make lists of stuff like check boxes. I've been doing this forever, but now what I'm starting to do is I make two pretty much, or multiples. So if I'm playing 2 shows, it's going to be 3 checklists. One of everything to put together before I go. And then as I'm packing up at night, I take the other checklist and I go down through and I make sure I have everything. So I haven't lost anything yet. So I do recommend these checklists. Make them. Mine's full of all sorts of weird stuff, but
I saw lab coat on there.
Yeah, lab coat, of course, and there's also stuff on there like the DIs, the audio interface cables, stuff like that. But I just want to make sure I have everything at the end of the evening. And as to that, and we'll put these up. Take a picture of what's inside your cases. So when you put everything back in the case at night, you can put them back in that nice order that you had. I often throw bubble wrap down on top of everything. It's just being careful because, again, you people are paying me to play for you. And if I show up and something's damaged, I can't play for you. And then you have the right to fire me. So that's another thing. And finally, one more thing. With COVID, I've been taking my own microphone to the shows. And I'm going to recommend that you put some duct tape on your microphone and you put your name on it. Now, I don't know if you can see this or not. This says Bruce, because we're playing New Jersey soon, and I don't want them messing with it. So Springsteen gave me that. We were at Henry Rollins' Oscar watching party, and he just, he did me a mitzvah and gave me the microphone. But yeah, if you're going to use, I recommend with COVID, use your own mics. This is a 58. And I told the story, I think it was Charlie Sexton, down in Austin. If it wasn't Charlie, I apologize. I'll see you at Henry Rollins' next Oscar watching party. But there was he had one of the 58, but the 58s were all dented up. So he said, "You have a 58 that isn't dented up." And I said, "Well, we do have a 57, but," and I can't remember if anybody knows the musician who used to do this in Austin. But he said, "We have a 57, but so and so stuck it up his butt." And they're like, and Charles says, "Do you have any mics back there that maybe he didn't stick up his butt?" And they're like, "No." So yes, it's a charming tale. All right, that's all I got.
A musician from Austin.
Yes, it was a musician. If you can tell us who the musician from Austin was who would play, I think in the Liberty Lunch or something he was playing, but he would maybe someplace smaller. He would regularly put the microphones, SM57s, not 58s, SM57s up his butt.
Oh, those are thinner.
Yeah, we're only asking because this is an act we want to work with.